KSJE is supported by the Farmington Civic Center, bringing a full slate of entertainment to Farmington and San Juan County. The Doo-Wah Riders, American Country Music, Tuesday, April 19th, 7:30 p.m. The Farmington Civic Center, 200 West Arrington in downtown Farmington. Find out more online at fmtn.org/shows or 505-599-1148.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Megan Cullip, along here with Scott Michlin.
Good morning, Megan Cullip. That music gets you going, doesn't it? Right? We kind of forgot what it sounded like.
I was like, oh, just keep going. I don't want to talk yet. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It is.
With Scott and Megan.
Interesting. With Scott and Megan.
Yes. Finally. Right?
Finally, your name is first.
Yeah.
Again. The
what?
return.
Again?
I mean, COVID.
Okay.
Was,
all right.
Okay.
All right.
Anyway.
But anyway, we're glad that you are with us, everybody. This is our newest program on Fridays here on KSJE called That's Interesting, the show where you get to call in and tell us what's interesting in your world from the last week or so and share it with our audiences. And so that's kind of the whole idea, right?
Right.
Exactly. So
Right.
we already have someone on the phone this morning. So why don't we do that and
Let's hop to it.
Go to the phones and see who has called in first up on the program this morning. Good morning. You're on KSJE. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you for letting me call in. Hi, Scott. It's Randy West.
Hello, Randy West. How are you, sir?
I'm well, and you?
I am well. Randy West, of course, from the Farmington Civic Center. And so I saw great reviews of the show you had, I believe it was last night at the Civic Center.
I'll tell you, the dogs were a hoot.
Nice. Of course they...
Anybody that can drive cross country in an RV with 16 dogs in it is a hero of mine.
Right. There you go. Well, what do you have coming up? Because you always have something up your sleeve.
Well, we do. Saturday night at 7:30, Liz Calloway is singing in the Civic Center, and Liz and I go way back. She's a huge Broadway and international presence as a singer. They're flying all day from New York today to come to Farmington, and Liz started out, the first production she was in right out of college was Merrily We Roll Along, the Sondheim musical, and then right after that, she was in the musical Baby and was Tony nominated when she was probably 20, and then Betty Buckley stopped playing Grisabella in Cats, and Liz replaced her, and she was Grisabella, who's the lead in Cats for 5 years, and then she was the lead in Miss Saigon for 3 years, and then in that time she'd gotten married, and she and Dan had their son, and so musicals are so demanding that Liz decided that she'd explore some in another area, and so she went into cabaret, and she started singing in New York cabarets, which is something that you can take care of your son all day and then get ready and go into a cabaret and sing for a couple of sets and come home. And so that was more manageable than a Broadway show. And she did that. She's won 3 or 4 MAC awards as best cabaret singer in New York, and she's basically bringing her cabaret act to Farmington. And her musical director is Alex Ryback, who is one of the best-known musical directors in New York. So we get to see a truly gifted accompanist who does all her arranging, and one of the best. She sings in Carnegie Hall every year. She when there isn't COVID, she does an international tour of singing in some of the biggest, nicest places in the world. And she's a baseball fanatic. She loves baseball, and I think she sings the Star-Spangled Banner more than anyone I know for the Mets.
Wow. Well, what a treat, Randy West, to have someone of her caliber coming to Farmington, New Mexico. Very exciting. And And I know
she's also doing a workshop on Saturday at 1 o'clock where local singers can come in, and Alec will be there, and local singers can come in, and if they want to sing a 2-minute song, they can sing. And even if you don't want to sing, you learn so much watching her coach other singers, and that's entirely free at 1 o'clock this is once again building the talent in Farmington, because this summer, we're going out there with Music Man and Pirates and Annie, which is a combination of some of the national best pros around, mixing with local and a lot of regional and local, and we have kids and teens and adults spread out all summer working with us. And so this is a program where if people want to come listen to sharpen up their vocal skills or listen to somebody get coached, they can at 1 o'clock on Saturday, and then the concert's at 7:30.
Very good. Well, again, what a great opportunity to get some coaching from someone of her caliber, and then, of course, to see her performing later that evening. A great day in Farmington at the Civic Center. Randy West, thank you for sharing that with us.
She's truly one of the most exciting singers. I mean, many people do Meadowlark, but if you hear Liz Callaway do Meadowlark, you're going to feel like it's the quintessential version of a very complex ballad that tells a big story, and she does that over and over. And in the middle of it, she talks to you throughout she likes to think that her cabaret act is as if she invited you into her living room, and so you learn a lot about her. She's very personable, and like I said, an exceptional talent. And for those of you that are looking for something a little bit more yeehaw, next Tuesday we have the Doo-Wah Riders back, and they were here last summer. They came to perform at Sandstone and got rained out. The one night they drove all the way from L.A. to be here for a concert, and it poured. After we've been in a drought for 6 months, the one night it rains is when we're trying to do a concert with the Doo-Wah Riders. So they ran in the pavilion, and they did a 45-minute concert unplugged.
Wow, there you go.
And the audience ran in the pavilion, a big bunch of them, and they were just thrilled at what they did for 45 minutes.
Right.
And everybody grabbed me and said, you got to bring them back to the Civic Center, which we're doing next Tuesday. So that's Saturday night.
Yep.
It does Callaway, next Tuesday, Doo-Wah Riders.
Very good. April 19th, Doo-Wah Riders. I see that. And then May 1st, there's another big name coming in, right?
Oh, yeah. Do you want to go ahead and announce it?
Well, I think we can, can't we? Right? Billy Bob Thornton will be here.
Shut up.
Billy Bob.
Wait, hold on. Pause.
Megan
It's
woke
Megan. Hi, Randy.
Hi, Megan.
So I'm
Yes.
super excited about. I love Billy Bob Thornton. What a catch. Okay, what is
May
he doing?
1st. He's working with
Billy
puppets.
Bob Thornton and the Boxmasters, and believe it or not, it's kind of a mix of country and honest to goodness rock, and I should say that Billy Bob talks between the songs, and he's sometimes a little outrageous, which shouldn't come as a surprise
Right.
if you followed his career, but he's very serious about his music, and they do this tour once a year for part of the year where they very seriously perform, this his style of rock music, but they're very popular. And when they called me to say that they were going from here to here, and could they play Farmington, I said, I bet you can.
There you go. See? Perfect.
So
What time on May
thing,
1st?
May 1st, 7:30.
7:30.
7:30.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
I'm there.
Megan's in.
I'm
Okay.
so in.
Randy, so exciting, and I know we're so excited that there's entertainment coming back to the Civic Center and getting
Yes.
folks back in the habit of going out for an evening on the town in Farmington. And I guess I have to remind folks, if you saw these acts that Randy is talking about in any other venue, in any other location, you would pay a lot more than what Randy is charging to come see them at the Civic Center. These folks are playing all over the place in much bigger communities, and the ticket prices are much bigger too. So I just have to say kudos to you and the city for keeping the lid on ticket prices and bringing these great events to Farmington.
Thanks, Scott. You're exactly right. People track it, and they call in all the time and say, do you know, in this place, they're 2 or 3 times more than you're charging. And we say, yeah, we know. We're really working to keep our entertainment accessible to everybody.
Excellent. Well, Randy, thank you so much.
Thank you, my friend, and have a happy Easter.
You too.
You too, Randy.
You too. Happy Easter.
Okay, guys. Thank you, and thank you so much for what you do for the community of Farmington.
You bet, Randy West. Thank you. That's Randy West from the Farmington Civic Center. Always plenty of entertainment up his sleeve.
There is.
Always.
I know, and I was bemoaning.
He has the longest
to...
sleeves in San Juan County. So much stuffed up his sleeves. Up his sleeves.
I love his energy too.
Yeah.
And his wife.
Yes.
Both of them.
Definitely.
Great energy.
Anyway, so you're all excited now.
So excited.
More than you were before.
So I would have gone to the Liz Callaway thing too, but I'm previously committed, so that sounds awesome. And then Billy Bob Thornton is one of my favorite actors.
See?
Of all time.
There you go.
I can't believe it.
Okay.
So I'm going to, right after this, go buy tickets.
Okay.
Yeah.
See?
That's my plan.
There you are. All right. There's one ticket sold, Randy. Here you go.
Right
and
here.
many more, I am sure. Excellent. Well, that's a great way to start the show, isn't it?
I feel excited.
That is so interesting.
That's interesting.
Right. And that's why we're here, everybody. So again, call in, share what's interesting in your world. Doesn't have to be Billy Bob Thornton, but it could be.
But it could be.
If you have a Billy
If
Bob
you just
story.
want to keep going with the Billy Bob thing.
I like that as a theme, but I'm not sure that's. I'm not sure,
it's
but
gonna
we could try. We could try it. But other stuff that's going on, right? And this is just kind of a free form show, right? So
This
we
is a
really
free-form
don't
show.
have any necessarily agenda to talk about every week.
I mean,
right? Just what's been going on.
What's been going on in the news and the world. Interesting
Exactly.
things we've been reading or listening to.
Correct.
Right.
Exactly.
So, I mean, is this my chance?
This is your chance. I think
Okay.
it's your chance. Sure.
All right.
What's
so-
been going on in your what's new in Megan world?
Well, what is new in Megan world? Well, the interesting thing that I came across this week was a podcast, and Rick Hansen is a psychologist who does a lot of interest. He's in the positive psychology branch of psychology, which is a psychology that focuses more on less on pathology, more on cultivating good things is the best way to describe it. It's a quick and easy way.
All right.
So anyway, there was a podcast that they did, and it was called "How to Not Die Alone." So naturally, I was like, "This might be something that's interesting."
Okay.
And it ends up it was about dating, which I don't like that. I think that single people cannot die alone, right? I don't think that's a really accurate description of what's happening. But anyway, it was this whole dating podcast. It was with a woman who is a Harvard psychologist who now works for Hinge, which apparently is a dating app. And she's like the dating expert on this app and basically just works with people in dating. Okay.
All right. Okay.
So it was really interesting. So they broke down dating profiles sort of three different types of folks that have trouble with dating. And those three types were, one, romantics, right? So they've been waiting for this like perfect, how we first met and the ways in which we're going to meet, and sort of like, I want somebody who's definitely, over 6 feet tall and has blonde hair. And it's like, well, the average height of Americans, there's only 14% of the population that's over 6 feet tall. So like, you're getting in your own way there. If you're married for like 50 years, then the first day of meeting is not really all that important. Actually, in the grand scheme of things, it's 0.00055 or something like that percent. The second category is the maximizer. So especially in this online dating age, where there's so many opportunities that come across your way, that we run into issues when somebody is thinking, well, this guy's pretty good looking, looks like he might be a good match, but what about, if I wait 2 days, what other match is going to come my way, right? So they're always trying to maximize. This person was intelligent, but maybe I can find somebody that's 10% more intelligent. Those are the maximizers.
Right.
That gets in the way. And the third one is the hesitators. So these are the people that actually are self-help junkies, and they're sort of like, well, I don't know if I'm ready I'll date when I'm better at this, or I'll date when I have gotten over this issue or that issue. And they're neglecting the fact that we're always constantly evolving and constantly improving, and so there's no perfect time.
Right. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
That is interesting.
See?
So
Okay.
those are the three pitfalls they were talking about.
Right.
And I also thought it was interesting. So there's a book called Algorithms for Living, and apparently it's just like mathematical ways to do your life. And there's a example in that book of, say you want to hire a new secretary. Well, if you wait too long, then you might miss out on somebody who's already interviewed. But then if you don't interview enough, then you might miss out on somebody who is good, who's coming down the pike later. So they said you pick out of a third. So if you're interviewing 100, this is a very popular secretary position apparently. If you interview out of 100, right, you're going to take from the pool of 30. Who's the best from the pool of 30? So they're basically arguing the more that you get out there, the more likely you are to find something. And I've always thought it's a quantity issue that yields quality. So if you make a goal for yourself, I'm going to talk to 3 people every week, that's eventually going to yield some quality.
Right. Okay.
As opposed to waiting for the right person and hopping in that way, that you want to actually just have a big pool that you're exploring.
Okay.
So.
Wow.
Lots of stuff.
That was all in that little podcast?
Yeah. And there was more. But I'm
Wow.
just giving you like the highlights of what they're talking about. But
Okay.
I've told you before, I think, that when I move someplace new, this is not dating, this is just general making connections in community.
Right.
That I always scheduled, for events or meetings or something a week, because I figured then if you do 4 a week, you will eventually find your place, right? So I can attest to the truth of this in just general community building.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a lot of dating game, but I work on it.
It's okay.
I try.
Right. That's
So.
okay. But yeah, I think it was pretty obvious to me and a lot of other folks that when you arrived in town, you really made an effort to get connected and find out about the community and learn about the community and all the different parts of the community. Because any place you go, there's going to be layers of stuff going on and how to get involved and how to help where you can and those types of things. And this is kind of
Right.
what you're talking about. And then
Right.
through that, you create connections and friendships and maybe
Right.
possibly dating opportunities, although that hasn't happened apparently.
Not yet, but
not
that's
as
okay.
much, but okay.
But
okay.
that's why I was
It's not a Megan pity party.
I was like, what am I missing? Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's why these things exist, and we live in an age of resources, right? So many free resources.
True.
So
True.
many. You'll never be able to listen to all the podcasts that are available for you to listen to. They're all free.
Right.
And that's one thing. You can buy almost anything on Amazon. So if I wanted to learn something, I could read about it and learn it ostensibly, Even if you don't want to buy, we have something called a library where you can check out.
Exactly.
Which shout out to the library. I
Right.
used them this week. So there's really when it comes to consuming information and learning things, we have fewer barriers than ever in the history of ever,
Right. True.
Which is really cool to think about. So I do like a good podcast. So
See,
Yeah.
there you go. As this show will become.
I was going to say,
a few-
we're on a podcast, aren't we?
This will be a podcast. Exactly. So maybe someone will be listening to us after they've moved to town or something
That would be
to
helpful.
learn about, how to connect.
Our little town.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, cool. Very-
Yes.
It's interesting.
It is interesting.
You brought that up. See?
Yes.
So, but there you go. But I think it's a great idea, and I know I would say too, even for folks who've been in town for a while, but maybe pandemic, you feel like maybe you're new to you've been shut in for 2 years. That's also good advice. Maybe getting back out and about, right? Is to maybe pick a few activities to do safely that you're comfortable with, to meet, to re-engage with people, right? And society, and make those maybe some new connections if you've been feeling a bit lonely last couple of years.
Right.
So I think that could be useful too.
Yeah, always. There's something about novelty too. So infusing the new. Some people have a higher need for. I have a very, very high need for novelty, right? So I'm always like, what's the new thing? What's the next thing? Not everybody does. Some people are pretty content with I got my routine.
Right.
Makes me happy, keeps me steady,
Yeah.
whatever. But everybody needs a little bit of novelty. And so I would also encourage everybody to keep looking for new opportunities.
Right. Okay.
Because they're out there.
Mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, they're
Right.
out there.
Because we can get into that kind of routine thing a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
All of us.
I heard an interview at some point. Actually, it was about the movie Groundhog Day, which is hilarious. But,
Okay.
And she said when she feels like she's in a rut, sometimes we just feel stuck. We're like, womp womp. Just sort of like a general dissatisfaction. That she does a thing where for a month, every single day, she does something new. So it could be driving a different way to work. It could be like, oh, I've always wondered what that coffee shop was like. Let me stop in. That kind of stuff. And she would do just a little something each day of the month. And by the end of the month, she felt like, I'm out of my rut.
See?
So.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good advice. I think it's good advice. I think
Yeah.
that's great. And, even though we live in a smaller community, there are plenty of those opportunities, even right here in town.
Right.
Or, I had lunch in Farmington. Maybe I'm going to go over to Bloomfield and have lunch today.
Exactly.
It's
a
try
simple
something
way
new.
to try something new.
Yeah. Or go to Aztec or Kirtland.
Right.
Just check it out. Expand my
Shiprock.
horizons. Yeah.
Get some mutton.
There you go. That could work.
That's an experience.
That could work. That's
I
true.
get my oil changed in Shiprock. Have I ever told you that?
You just did. So, yeah.
Before
Okay.
this moment.
Oh, no. I don't believe so. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so
Well, good
it's
for you.
quick. It's super quick.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to drive out to Shiprock just to get an oil change, and it's also an experience because outside of work, when do I ever drive to Shiprock?
Right.
Not a lot.
There you go. That's kind of cool. Good for you.
So yeah, see,
All right. I like
there's
that.
tips and tricks.
There you are. Life with Megan.
Life with Megan.
I like it. This is That's Interesting, the program on KSJE where you actually are the star of the show. So we need you to call in and share what's interesting in your world. 505-566-3909. 566-390.9 is the phone number for folks who are listening on the radio or watching online. Just give us a call or just say hello.
Yes.
Just tell us where you get your oil changed. You could do that.
Yeah, you could
know?
do that. It could be interesting.
It could be.
Yeah.
That's very true. Well, I always find I always am impressed by people who can just bring up start up conversations with strangers.
Yes.
And some personalities I think do that better than others.
Sure.
And so, but and usually what you hear is that you meet these fascinating people, and if you hadn't have just said hello or how's it going, that never would have happened. That connection wouldn't have happened. And so, a friend of mine went to a concert in Phoenix a couple of weeks ago, and was sitting next to somebody, and they were apparently both big fans of this band from 20 years ago, and now they're pretty good friends, right? Because they had all this in common, and they loved the music, and the music brought them together, and they started chatting, and the rest is history, as they say.
Yeah, you gotta find. I'm pretty adept at such things, and it's like you gotta find the common point. What's the thing? Keep searching for the thing that then creates a very lively conversation. And the second trick to that is actually letting somebody else feel very interesting.
Yeah.
So always be more interested in what's going on in their world than your world, and ask a bunch of questions about their own life. And that's my advice for that.
Very true. Very true. Something else we wanted to bring up, of course, we had a report this week. Inflation is way up, right? It's probably the highest it's been since the 80s.
I believe it's 8.5.
Yeah.
Which is crazy high.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different contributing factors, I think, I hear.
Right.
So I hear one of them is just coming off of all of the bailouts that happened
Sure.
during COVID.
Probably. Now, we should mention neither one of us are economists.
Well, that's obvious to everybody. It's just like within the first 3 seconds.
I
They're
just
like,
wanted to
oh,
make
right,
that
explain
point.
inflation.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
exactly. Oh, you're going to talk about inflation.
Yes.
If we have an economist, if you can just go ahead and call in and
there you
take this
go.
part over, that would be helpful.
Right.
But, and
A lot of factors. I think
Yes,
it's fair to say there's
Ukraine
a
is
lot
a
of
factor.
factors at work with inflation.
I mean,
Higher
I
than-
immediately discovered how much more expensive everything became. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, didn't it feel like one day you just went to the store and you're like, what?
Yeah.
Or, obviously the gas pump,
Right.
anything fast food related was just like immediately
Right.
higher. It's kind of scary stuff. Like,
It is.
I feel like recession city is coming if we don't get out of this.
Yeah. Well, and we've been through those before, unfortunately, but they're
Right.
always rough and, discomforting. I guess the good news is that unemployment is way down, so anybody that wants to work should be able to find work.
That's true.
And that's maybe one of the things that was different from the last time inflation was as high, is that I think unemployment was high too, and so then you had the really, really big problems because people were out of work paying these higher
And they
prices.
couldn't pay, yeah.
Right.
Right.
Now, at least, I think if people want to work, they should be able to find find some work and find some jobs. And wages, I believe, are going up, which is good. We've seen some minimum wage raises and other things been happening, and so I think that's a good thing. And some folks may say that's driving a little bit of the inflation too.
Right.
So, but there's that.
Yeah, I feel like economics is a very volatile system. You know, you move, it's like a puppeteering. You move this here, and then it's this here, and this here, and this here. I find it, I loved it in school. I loved it in economics. I did.
Okay. It is very complicated.
Yes.
And I think, again, the U.S. economy is one of the most, complex economies in the world, and so it's really hard to pin down that this one thing caused this other thing over here to happen.
Yes.
It's usually a combination of stuff.
Yes.
And we're such a global economy now that really, I think there are a lot of global events that really do impact inflation and other economic issues in other countries.
Yes.
From elsewhere.
Yes.
So speaking of elsewhere, Ukraine.
Oh man.
Right? Yeah. It's dragging on. It's moving on. I think we're day 50.
Yeah.
Of the invasion today. Story, though, from yesterday about the Russian warship that was either sunk or caught fire off the coast of Ukraine, no matter whoever you're listening to, right? So the Ukrainians say they hit it with a couple of missiles and sank it. The Russians say something caught fire, some ammunition caught fire and blew up, and it sank because of that. So there's two different stories on that. But the thing that's true is that it's sunk.
It's a ship sunk.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I feel like I know what I think on that. So
Okay.
I feel like one of those sources is more truthful than the other source.
All right. As we've seen during the war.
Yes.
But I mean, during any kind of conflict, there's always going to be some PR and propaganda and from both sides, I think. But I'm certainly understanding where you're coming from. But I just thought it was interesting that the two stories came out. But then today, I don't know if you heard what happened today. BBC was promoting or reporting on that this morning. Overnight, the Russians attacked a factory in Kyiv, the capital, that makes and manufactures missiles that could have been used to destroy the boat that the Russians claimed wasn't hit by a missile. But they destroyed a factory that makes missiles overnight. So everyone's saying it's retaliation, and that's probably is what happened to the ship. It was hit by a missile.
Interesting.
Or they wouldn't have hit and destroyed the missile factory the next day.
BBC.
Yeah. And other media picking it up too.
Yeah.
But anyway, there you go.
Let's see. What other thing we can talk about? Passover.
And Easter.
And Easter.
This weekend. Yeah.
It is
it's a big
sometimes
religious
those
weekend.
things coalesce
Exactly.
on top of each other very neatly. And so the first day of Passover is actually tonight.
Right.
And then we have, and it's also Good Friday today.
That's right.
Saturday is the second day of Passover, and Holy Saturday. Have you ever heard of Holy Saturday? It's basically just the Saturday between Good Friday and Easter.
Okay.
But the idea is that there was significant work happening while people were unaware. So that God was doing something mystical while everybody else was unaware because Christ was in the tomb, right?
Okay.
So it's kind of interesting. And
he works in mysterious ways. I've heard that.
Well, pretty much. I mean, I would hope so.
Yeah.
If something is transcendent beyond us, then it has to be a little mysterious.
Right.
But
Saturday kind of doesn't get mentioned much in the whole weekend, right?
No,
we have
and
Good
it's my
Friday
favorite.
and Easter Sunday,
Yeah.
but apparently Saturday is somewhat significant.
Holy Saturday is my favorite,
Okay.
actually. But also, I'm doing a Passover Seder tomorrow night, too,
Okay.
which is fun.
Cool.
It's going to be
It is very interesting, the whole idea and the dinner and the meal and the stories and the tradition. I mean, I think that's really kind of a cool thing if you haven't ever encountered Passover and the story and learned about it.
Right. Seder just means order.
Uh-huh.
So the dinner is going in order of the story.
Right.
You read from a Haggadah, which is the story. That's what that translates as. And you kind of just follow this literature. And it's really interesting. The process of picking a Haggadah is very interesting. I went with a super reformed one. But, the famous one is the Maxwell House Free Haggadah. As in the coffee people.
I was going to say, okay,
Yes.
I didn't want to be disrespectful, but
No, it is the
it
coffee
is what it sounds like.
People, it's exactly what it sounds like.
Okay.
So in Brooklyn, there are communities that are just Jewish, pretty
Of course,
much, right?
Yes.
So, and Maxwell House was a big distributor in that area.
Okay.
So they would buy their coffee for Passover. It's a long festive celebration. It's one of the holiest of celebrations in the Hebrew calendar or whatever. And so Maxwell House would give out free Haggadahs. And so a lot of Jewish families I actually have one, will use these Haggadahs.
Okay.
But I'm
Interesting.
using
So
it.
you've been invited to a Passover.
Well, I'm doing it.
Oh, you're doing it.
actually.
You're hosting it.
I'm hosting
Oh,
it.
good for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really just with the family. It's a family that I'm friends with. And I was
Nice.
like, if I buy all the stuff, will you do a Seder with me?
Nice.
So that's how we're doing it.
Okay.
It's
And
just-
then you're going to switch gears, and Sunday morning you're going to do
I'm gonna
Easter
be- I'm gonna
services.
do Easter services on Sunday morning. I'm not leading them this year, so
Okay.
I'm just
You're
gonna
gonna show up as a
just show up as
parishioner.
A parishioner.
Gotcha.
Somewhere
in your
town.
Easter bonnet, no doubt.
My Easter. That's right. My Easter best. My pastels.
Yes, exactly.
It'll probably
Perfect.
be a band T-shirt.
Right.
If we're gonna be honest.
Are you a sunrise service kind of person?
I do like. So I don't like getting up that early, but I do
well,
like the sunrise service.
I've noticed that even here at 8 o'clock.
Running in. Hey, I go running now.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
But
You
I
try
do
it?
like sunrise service.
Okay.
So.
Very good. Well, it's an important weekend for a lot of people.
A lot of
so
people.
we hope that they enjoy it with friends and family. And there are a lot of family traditions, I think, around these types of holidays. And so that's a great opportunity to reconnect after not being able to do that maybe in the past couple of years.
Sure.
So we hope folks are able
Yeah.
to get out and really celebrate, whether it's at a Passover or at an Easter service or whatever you decide to do.
Yes.
So that's wonderful. Well, very good. I think we're out of time for That's
Yes.
Interesting,
Well, it's been interesting.
hasn't it?
It's,
Right?
We covered a lot of topics.
We did cover a lot of topics.
Passover,
We got a little insight into
Ukraine,
your
the
dating
economy,
life.
my dating life. I know. I wonder if I'm going to get a bunch of fan mail now.
Maybe.
What if it comes into my box like you?
Yeah.
I would like to take you on a date. That would be fun.
Okay.
It's an open call.
We'll forward those to you.
They're
Okay.
going to come in droves.
How's that? There
Be
you go.
looking.
Very good. Well, That's Interesting, everyone. We thank you for joining us this morning. This is every 2 weeks, so just we'll be back next week, of course, with Solutions from the Street, our other program on Fridays. And then, of course, in 2 weeks, we'll be back with another That's Interesting show.
We're covering a lot of ground.
And we'll look forward to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the more we do it, the more folks will get into the habit of calling in and chatting with us and letting
That's
us
what we
know
hope.
what's going on in their world.
That's what we hope.
We'll keep bringing up interesting podcasts or interesting things we see in the news to talk about.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right. Well, everyone, have a very safe and happy Easter, Passover, or whatever it is that you celebrate. We will see you next week right here on KSJE. KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center, a community-owned and operated hospital. Here for you when you need us. From emergency care to routine checkups and screenings, caregivers are here and ready to provide the safe, high-quality care you need close to home. Online at sanjuanregional.com with the latest health information and resources to help you live life better here. KSJE and San Juan College present the Student Success Coaching Tip of the Week. Week 12, Eliminate Distractions. Studying without distractions is crucial. If you're studying alone, try to find a quiet space or put headphones on to block out noise from your surroundings. If you're in an area trying to study and it's just not working out, relocate. It might be frustrating to have to pick up and move, but it'll be worth it once you're in a good environment. Consider putting your phone on silent or vibrate. You can always respond to your messages after your study session. The Student Success Coaching Tip of the Week, presented by KSJE and the Student Achievement Center at San Juan College. Hey there, what have you been doing for the past 2 years? If you're like most, you've been sitting around, not able to go anywhere or do anything. In other words, you've been training for the KSJE 0 Mile Fun Run. That's right, KSJE's 0 Mile Fun Run is back and it's better than ever. Join us at 10:30 Saturday morning, May 21st at San Juan College Learning Commons Plaza. Get your t-shirt now for $15 and support KSJE. Find out more at ksje.com/funrun.